Have you ever stopped to wonder why we use the technology we do? You'd think the best product would win, right? Well, it turns out that in some of the biggest tech battles in history, the winner often wasn't the best or the most innovative or even the first to show up. We're going to find out why.
So, let's start with a puzzle that's literally right at your fingertips. Go ahead, look down at your keyboard. That QWERTY layout? It wasn't designed to make you type faster. Nope. It was actually invented back in the 1800s to slow people down, so the keys on old mechanical typewriters wouldn't jam. So why, in an age of supercomputers in our pockets, are we all still stuck with this deliberately inefficient standard? The answer to that question? Well, it unlocks the hidden rules of platform wars.
You've probably heard this idea before, right? That these markets are winner takes all. The idea is that once a platform gets a little bit ahead, it's like a snowball rolling downhill. It just gets bigger and bigger, pulling everyone in and leaving no room for competitors. But what's the engine that's actually driving this powerful cycle?
Well, it comes down to a powerful force called the network effect. Just think about it. A phone is pretty useless if you're the only person on Earth who has one, right? Its value comes from all the other people you can call. It's the same thing here. More users on a platform attract more creators, like app developers or movie studios, and all that new content from those creators attracts even more users. It's this crazy feedback loop that can create a monopoly almost overnight.
Okay, so does that just mean the best technology automatically creates the strongest network effect and wins? I mean, that's what we all kind of assume. But let's see if the evidence actually backs that up.
Let's rewind the clock to the 1980s and the Great Videotape War. On one side, you had Sony's beta format. And look, on paper, it was the clear winner. The picture quality, way better. And the cassettes themselves were smaller, more compact. By almost every technical measure, it was the superior product.
And yet, it lost. Completely. JVC's VHS, even with its just okay quality, totally took over the market. By 1988, betas was basically a memory. So, superior tech was definitely not the deciding factor there.
All right, what about computers? The personal computer wars. For decades, Apple's Mac OS has been praised for its beautiful, tight integration of hardware and software. It's more secure, it's super optimized. Microsoft's Windows, on the other hand, it was running on this chaotic mix of hardware from tons of different companies.
And the winner was Windows, by a landslide. For most of computing history, it has dominated over 80% of the PC market, leaving the technically elegant Mac with just a tiny slice of the pie. So that's another case where better definitely didn't mean winner.
And this brings us all the way back to our keyboard mystery. Back in the 1930s, a professor named August Dvorak actually invented a new keyboard layout. He scientifically placed the most common letters right on the home row, which dramatically increased typing speed and accuracy. It was objectively, scientifically, a better keyboard.
But you know exactly how this story ends. We're all still tapping away on QWERTY. The evidence is pretty clear. The best technology doesn't always win. So if it's not about quality, what about timing?
And that brings us to our second big myth. Maybe the key is just getting there first, the first mover advantage. Does being first really guarantee a win? Let's check the timeline.
Yeah, so when you actually look at the dates, the whole story gets flipped on its head. As you can see, Sony's beta launched in 1975, a full year before the winner, VHS, even showed up. And Apple's groundbreaking Macintosh, that was in 1984, a whopping 6 years before the version of Windows that would eventually come to dominate. In both of our key battles, the winner was actually the latecomer. And the QWERTY story? This one is just wild. It wasn't the first keyboard layout. It wasn't the second. It was the 52nd patent for a typewriter. Can you believe that? It entered this incredibly crowded market, and somehow it came out on top.
Okay, let's just pause and recap for a second. The winners weren't necessarily better, and they definitely weren't necessarily first. This brings us to the crucial billion-dollar question of our whole investigation. What is the real secret? How in the world did they actually pull it off? Well, the answer, it turns out, lies in solving one of the most classic and trickiest strategic puzzles in business, the chicken and egg problem.
You see, every single platform runs into this dilemma. You need users to get people to make stuff for your platform, but you need stuff on your platform to attract any users in the first place. It's a total catch-22. So who comes first? The winners we've been talking about? They weren't just lucky. They were absolute masters at breaking this deadlock.
So let's see how VHS did it. JVC's brilliant move was that they didn't focus on consumers first. They focused on the producers, in this case, the movie distributors and the video rental stores. See, beta tapes could only hold about an hour of video, so you needed 2 tapes for one movie. But VHS could fit a whole film on a single cassette. Now, if you're a store owner with limited shelf space, that's a total game changer. So stores stocked VHS tapes, which meant consumers had to buy VHS players to watch them. Chicken and egg? Solved.
Now, Microsoft took a totally different approach. Instead of keeping their system closed and controlled like Apple, they threw the doors wide open. They let pretty much any hardware company build a computer and slap Windows on it. This unleashed a flood of competition on the producer side, which led to a massive variety of PCs at every single price point. That huge availability of hardware is what brought in the users, which then attracted all the software developers. Problem solved, again.
But the QWERTY strategy. This might be the most brilliant one of them all. The manufacturer, Remington, knew that businesses wouldn't spend a ton of money on their new typewriters unless they had people who actually knew how to use them. So what did they do? They started offering typing classes. They literally created the skilled user base themselves. And once you had a pool of QWERTY-trained typists looking for jobs, businesses had to buy QWERTY typewriters to hire them. Just a genius move.
So there you have it. Solving that chicken and egg problem is how you win the war. But once you've won, how do you stay on top? Why is it so incredibly hard for a better technology to come along and take over? The answer is something called lock-in.
This lock-in is created by what economists call switching costs. And we're not just talking about money here. It's the total amount of pain, in time, in effort, in lost data, in learning something new, that you have to go through to change from one established standard to another.
Just think about what it would really take to switch any of these things today. To use that better Dvorak keyboard, you'd have to unlearn years and years of muscle memory. To switch from Windows to a Mac, you might have to repurchase all your essential software. And imagine if you are an early beta user. Switching to VHS meant your entire movie collection became instantly useless. These costs are massive, and they keep us locked into the standard, whether it's the best one or not.
So when you step back and look at the big picture, it's kind of wild. The platforms and standards that run our lives, from the keyboards we type on to the software we use, they weren't always chosen because they were superior. They're often just accidents of history, cemented in place by a clever strategy and those incredibly high switching costs. And it leaves you with one last question to chew on. What battles are being fought right now for the standards of tomorrow? And what future winner are we all unknowingly locking ourselves into today?